Welcome to the afterflow of the Black Man Lab. I am Marty Monaghan again, filling in for Brother Mauli Davis this week. So we have some brothers here, there's a couple of special guests here as well. We had this week that were actually in on the Black Man Lab. I'm going to allow everybody to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it from there. Brother, you can introduce yourself first.
My name is Dwayne McClain. I'm an educational specialist for a great program, federal program called Upward Bound out at Atlanta Metropolitan State College. Service 5 South Fulton high schools, Tri-City, Westlake, Langston, Creekside, and Banneker. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you. Appreciate you.
My name is Keith Higgins Sr. I was invited by my son. This is my first time here, and I like what I saw.
Awesome. And this young man next to me.
I'm Marty Monaghan, Marty Monaghan's father. I was really impressed with the presentation here this morning. I am a veteran of better than 50 years of teaching and coaching in the Chicago high school system. And what I heard tonight, I heard a voice here, and it was a very positive voice. All of us hear voices. Maybe we may not be aware of it. Some voices are pushing us off in a positive direction, some in a negative direction. And I think this evening here, I heard a positive voice, and just hopefully everyone in the audience who was here to experience this here, and especially with our well-experienced and educated panel, take something home from it, and not only for themselves, spread it around. Spread it around. Thank you.
Thank you, Pop. So let's just, I want to get into it and get a little bit of insight of what you guys thought from the interaction with the audience, as well as what your thoughts are on the topic matter. We'll start with you, brother. You said you were a panelist. Give us a little bit of what you saw and what you felt.
Growing up in a minister's household and a principal as well, 2-3 times a week, I was exposed to groups of people being hungry for a message and hungry for someone to say something to them, and I felt that today. The audience was hungry for information on, first of all, is college for me? Can I go to college? What is college like from a perspective of some of the students that was there, and can I afford college? And that's something that I'm real passionate about, being in financial aid for over 12 years and also in the community for all my life. I have a passion for helping people understand what they can do and what's available to them, and giving them all of the resources so they can make an informed decision. A lot of times in our community, we have people making decisions for our young people, which is not a connection. It's a disconnect. But I feel like if you give someone all of the resources and tools that they need, then they can make a decision on what they want to build, whether they want to build a dog house, a bird house, or they want to build a house for humans to stay in. As an analogy, don't try to build a house for them. Give them the tools, give them the hammers, give them the nails, give them the lumber, and also help them create a blueprint for themselves. And that's what I felt today. People were hungry for information.
And it's interesting you say that. That's really a big piece, I think, of what the Black Man Lab is really about, is giving us the opportunity to get information that we struggle to get, right? Yes. Like a lot of stuff that you guys talked about on the panel today. I think about back when I was going off to college with my folks. I'm sure that if they had that information back then, things might have been different for me. Absolutely. You know, on how I went off to college, and likewise for them from a financial standpoint. Yes. But that speaks to what the Black Man Lab is about in general, right? Yes. Is that us being able to shorten that reach of information, and us as resources being able to touch, the youth right now is what we're trying to get to. But I think that it also helps when it comes to, there may be some parents there in the room that didn't know something, and now they have that information, right? Yes. And it's not just this, but it's other things that we're doing on a week-to-week basis. So appreciate the information that you guys were able to give explicitly today, though. Thank you. How about you?
Like you said, the information. I was a single father with 2 boys and a daughter. And if I had someone tell me some more about that information, I think my kids would have been in a better direction in what it was into. But it did well. It did well because they know that's what I expect them to do.
Sure.
They went to college, and some things they probably did in college I didn't agree with because I didn't know. I didn't go to college.
Not me. I was perfect for my parents.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know
No comment.
I didn't know the expectation to have from my sons,
Yep.
my daughter, when they go to school, and when they get out of school, what to do.
Sure.
But now I have more of the information, not like passing it on, and it come back to our community. I know I live in quote unquote the suburbs area, away from the black community, but there's a lot of black kids out there that I know we can reach in that area.
Yeah, and I think it's important that, especially our black males, need that, right? Because we are really becoming extinct. It's interesting. I spent some time over at Clark at the beginning of the year, and their class, they had their incoming student ceremony. And I was like, well, what, they have Spelman kids over here too? Because it was a bunch of women. It was a whole thing of women. And in the front, they had like probably 5 rows of chairs of the young men. And so then they were like, nah, this is what the class looks like. And it was probably 5-6 rows of males and then at least 30, maybe 40 of women. And I was like, man, this is really a picture of the dichotomy of what we're living with right now, right? So it's really important that we're able to touch wherever. You say you're in the suburbs, that's fine. There's black kids there, especially black boys that need to be touched. In terms of getting information. So, Pop, what about you? What did you think of what you saw today? What did you think, from an education? You've been an educator for forever. So kind of put that into perspective of what you saw today and maybe how you even comported yourself as a teacher.
Well, first of all, I felt shortchanged because when I coming through high school, I had no idea I was going to go to college. My folks were second grade. That was their level. They knew nothing about college. They wanted me to get education, but they didn't set a path for me. Somehow I made it, And listening to the panel today, I thought, I don't know how much better I would have been, but if I had that information then, maybe my path would have been a little easier. And again, there are so many of our young black men, for whatever reason, and I don't want to push the women aside, but they need to hear what was being presented this evening. And hopefully, I know we don't hit everyone 100%, but hopefully a good percentage of them can draw something from this and will help them along that path. And then also, hopefully they'll take that information and disseminate it to others. I know we didn't have 1 million people in there. There weren't 1 million black people in there. But if each one just spreads a little bit of information around, and again, I was I think every big city at least should have an organization such as this here to help our young black males, and I know, a lot of parents want to do the best for their children, but for whatever reason, they haven't had the resources given to them to pass on. And organizations like this here can hopefully fill some of that void. So again, I was super impressed. I was really impressed. The panel, I thought you were great. I thought some of the questions, especially some of the younger kids,
Yeah, that's one of the things is that the youth, that's why we always have them ask the questions, because one, you'd be surprised with the level of intellect that these kids have. But then a lot of times they're asking the questions that in the back of our minds, some of us had, So it's really interesting. So, yeah.
Well, even further, I don't think at that age I would have even come up with a question like that. Right. It was way beyond that. You didn't know about that? Hell no.
Like the young guy that said, if you get a football scholarship, what happens if I stop playing football in college? Do I still keep that scholarship?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I had the mic on him when he said it. I was like, Good question.
Good question.
Damn
Yeah.
good question.
Yeah.
You know.
Great
Well,
question.
you know, I think the field of sports has undoubtedly helped a lot of our young black males, those who are very successful and reach the pinnacle of the NBA, NFL, or whatever it is.
Right.
But too many of our youth are sold a bill of goods
Yes.
to go to school. You are a pawn. You are a pawn. You are there for financial reasons. Now, they may tell you, yeah, we're here to give you an education and all the rest of it. And if you're smart, you take advantage of it.
Right.
But it's pretty difficult. I've been in the field of sports a good many years. Too many of these youngsters are being used.
Mm-hmm.
They're used so these coaches and whoever else is in. And college ball is a big sport that we can say it's amateur. It's amateur as far as the players.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are coaches and whoever else is in that field reaping in. You know, TV makes money from us.
Apparel.
Yeah, everything, you know, is off these kids. And I don't know how you would do it because a lot of these kids, they got stars in their eyes. I'm going to be the next superstar. Mm-hmm. But somewhere along the line, okay, you know, pursue it as far as you can. But now, just what if, and I know each one thinks he's going to make it. Right. Well, all of them aren't going to make it,
Right.
you know. What if you don't make it? Do you have something else to fall back on?
And I think that was good why the young fella asked that question, because that's a you know, a big piece of it. And in his mind, he probably thought, you know, I might be a professional football player or college football player one day. What happens? So it was a great question on his part. One of the things that we always want to talk about in Black Man Lab, and we go through this every week, is we talk about habits, rituals, and disciplines on what you do on a daily basis to get you to your level of growth, right? What do you do to help you to be successful on a daily basis as far as your habits, rituals, and disciplines? So I want to ask each of you guys real quick, because we're up against the clock, but I want to ask you guys real quick, what do you do as your daily habits, rituals, and disciplines that help you on a day-to-day basis?
When I first get up, I clear my head, and I say my favorite. It's based on biblical scriptures, but I kind of paraphrase it and say, by grace, I'm saved through faith. Mm-hmm. And so I say by grace, it could be God's grace or my mother's grace or my father's grace, and then my faith. And that keeps me going for the day, because I have faith to complete goals, to accomplish my task, to do everything that I need to do in that day. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but if you have faith, that gives you the hope to get it done. Most of my rituals involve helping other people, talking to someone, helping them out, touching them in an intimate way, not just thinking about them, but actually intimately interacting with someone.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, interacting with family, closing out my day by being retrospective, analyzing what happened that day, what could I have done better, to set the tone for the next day, with anticipation that God will help me open my eyes and see the next day.
I love that one right there. That's one of mine that I do on a daily basis. What I do good, what I do not so good, what I'm going to do different the next time. Yep. Right? You do. I think if we do that consistently, then you always see some level of improvement in yourself, and you can be really self-critical on, I screwed that one up. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And then you can just not do it again. Absolutely. How about you, Brother Keith?
Basically, like his brother said, most of us, wake up in the morning, we pray. There's a higher being, and thanking God that I wake up another day to see. And also, touching people. I'm a helpful person. My family's like that. Uh-huh. And my wife always teased me about that, but my son can, verify for it. We always want to help someone else. I always want to help someone become better. Sure. Because an old manager told me this one time. He said, Keith, just remember, someone gave you the chance to do something or teach you something. Would you teach someone else it if you had the opportunity? And I'm like, yeah. And I live with that.
Sure.
So I'm always looking for someone on my job or even outside my job to help them if I see they have a need, and try to lead them in the right direction. Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is you always see that come back, right? It always comes back. Always. And it may not be that day,
Right,
you know,
right.
but it always finds its way back to you. There's some sense of the universe working in the right way when that happens. And I feel you on that. It took me to get to 50 years old when it really sunk in with me, but it's definitely there for me now where I'm like, this world ain't about me. You know, that's how you got to feel.
That seed.
Yeah,
Plant
yeah,
that seed.
yeah. Dad, how about you? I know a few because I've seen a few, but go ahead.
Unlike you two gentlemen, I haven't done that much introspective seeing of myself. But one thing that has helped me, I know, is everyone should try to be a responsible citizen. I think I've always tried to be responsible in respect to my wife, my children. And am I being a responsible? And I've been dealing with kids all my life. Am I being responsible in my interaction with them? Is there, if it's just one thing a day that you feel you can have accomplished, and Lord knows I don't know how many students I've passed, or they've passed through me. And I like to think that people in the position I've been in, you know, as far as dealing with kids, you have that same attitude, and you want to give them something that's going to help them become responsible citizens. And a responsible citizen to me is one who could take care of themselves, take care of their loved ones, and if they have to, spread it out to their friends. And if you do that, as my son just said, rewards will come back to you. Not tomorrow, not today probably, not tomorrow, but someplace down the line, you know. And if we all do that, especially in our young black men in our community, it helps them. And if nothing else, I know for myself, I feel good. You know, when I see one of we were just talking on the way here about one of my former students, what he's doing now. And it made me feel good. And he said, you know, what you taught us in school, we've carried on. So, you know, and I mean, this is years later, but it's something that's been carried on, you know. So just be responsible to yourself, your family, and your community.
And you have been that, Pop, I'll tell you that. So with that, we will wrap up Black Man Lab Afterflow. Appreciate you guys so much for taking the time to sit here and share what you experienced, share what little bits of your lives. We really appreciate you, and we hope that you will continue to bless us with your presence here in the Black Man Lab. That's it. Thanks so much.